Hello, everybody, and welcome to the December installment of the Sundress Reading Series presented by the Sundress Academy for the Arts. My name is Stacy Estep. I'm the reading Series coordinator for SAFTA. And for anybody who doesn't know, SAFTA is a writer's residency and arts collective that hosts workshops, retreats, and residencies for writers in all genres, including poetry, fiction, nonfiction, journalism, academic writing, playwriting, and more. And you can find out more at sundressacademyforthearts.com. Before we get started, we'd like to give a big thank you to the Tennessee Arts Commission for their support of this event. And now I'd like to introduce our Community Outreach Director, Arlen Dunn, to tell you all about our community partner for this month. Arlen?
Hi guys, I'm Arlen Dunn. I'm the Community Outreach Director. And every month we get to partner with another nonprofit in the community and just raise awareness about the work that they're doing. And we just ask that people, as they are able to donate to the organization. The organization that we have partnered with this month is Sleeves for Needs. And we happen to have the chairman, Constance Every, with us tonight. Their pronouns are unapologetically Black, and they're here with us to share more about Sleeves for Needs. Thank you for being with us, Constance.
Thank you so much for having me. Yes, as Ms. Dunn has introduced me, unapologetically Black. I'll be honest with you all. To use pronouns is still even a privileged space, because unfortunately, when Black people are subjected to some form of criminal identity or some type of criminal description, they always still want to look at us as the Black suspect, as the game banger, as the thug of interest. You see what I'm saying? We don't even get the privilege of being identified by male, female, Black, white, etc. So we are still in a space of privilege, even when we talk about the pronouns. So I am unapologetically Black, because once we can see past my Blackness and allow me to be identified by pronouns, we can discuss that. But until then, I am unapologetically Black. As Arlene Dunn mentioned, I have a nonprofit called Sleeves for Needs. We're a 501c3 social service organization. If you follow us on Facebook, you would have seen most recently as we are celebrating the season of Kwanzaa, which is the African-American holiday. It's a 7-day holiday started from December 26th to January 1st. We are practicing the principal day of purpose, which is Nia, which means that we are going to find ways to be the light to our communities. And one of the ways that I am a light to my community is through Sleeves for Needs. We targeted the African-American population, which we know is a 42% poverty rate right here in Knoxville, Tennessee. But however, we have found that there is a diverse demographic of poverty, period, in Knoxville, Tennessee and surrounding counties. And so we provide many resources such as clothing, food, personal hygiene products. As you saw with the toy drive, we give toys out. Yearly, we do our coat drive. We also do the Veterans Turkey Drive, where we give turkeys out directly to military service members, men and women, as I'm a disabled combat veteran myself. As well as the fact we provide transportation for people to get back and forth to their jobs. We have been providing several forms of different medical resources and assistance with equipment and such things as gloves, masks, and cleaning products and those types of things. We even help people get identification cards, birth certificates, IDs, things of that nature, so they can get jobs and get employment. We do a lot of different things to care and provide for our community. We're constantly looking for ways to grow and access resources and services that, unfortunately, whatever season, our city, our county, our state, local, and federal governments feels that our communities are deemed to not have proper access to. That is part of the fights that we also participate in with the BLM movement and other forms of injustice fight that we continue to carry forward. But however, Sleeves for Needs currently serves that form of solution. And yes, we would appreciate you supporting our causes and our work, because it is very vital. Like I said, this year we have watched from ground zero. We have been out here since ground zero of March, when COVID first hit the Knox County community. As I said before, we serve surrounding counties. We were in Sevierville. We've been to Alcoa. We've been to Oak Ridge. We have been to Lenore City. I've been to Clinton, Herman, Anderson County. We have served so many people through this pandemic. It is crazy. I went from averaging around 40 to 60 clients a month to almost 100 plus per month ever since around June, July timeframe. And since then forward on. This pandemic is serious. It is real. That's why we are organizing a statewide action to go to Nashville to let our leadership in Nashville know we need help down here. Medicare for all, full funding of unemployment benefits. And if you can do one thing to say you appreciate Black people, then adopt Breonna's Law. I mean, there's many things still happening, much work going on, so we will constantly need resource support. It's not just in monetary concept. We need volunteers. We need access to varieties of resources. If you have a water plug where we can get cases of water for free, I will always take it. If you have somebody that gives out gloves and masks for free, I will take that. Again, it is not always monetary. Sometimes it is what you can actually do or put in your part. Everybody has a place in this movement. It's going to take a people action and a people format of push. And in all honesty, any way you can help and get in and fit in, because everybody has a lane here. We are appreciative of that. And I thank you all so much for your time. Hope I wasn't too long.
Thank you, Constance. We appreciate having you. Again, you can check out the link to Sleeves for Needs in the chat. You can also find them on Facebook. Thank you.
Thank you, Arlen and Constance. And now let's meet our first reader of the evening. Faye Hernandez was born in 1993 in Chihuahua, Mexico, and is an Inglewood-raised immigrant trans non-binary visual artist, writer, and healer. They have been published in Poetry, Oxford Review of Books, Frontier, NPR's Code Switch, BreakBeat Poets Volume 4, LatiNEXT, PANK Magazine, amongst others. Faye is the author of Hood Criatura from Sundress Publications in 2020 and collects Pokemon plushies. Please welcome Faye.
Hey y'all, thank you for having me. I'm gonna just go ahead and jump in. This poem is titled After Sappho. Cirrus clouds brushed the sky when I, the prodigal daughter, was pulled out of the earth. A simple slice opened me to mommy. I didn't need Aquila's hoaxing to lower me back into my jaundiced body. I wanted to weep. I wanted to wake the world. I wanted to reconstruct my body the way maps do. Line after line, a lie. State after state, a falsity, the body, mind to rearrange. With chariot yoked to thy fleet-winged coursers, we dragged the misfortune of love and Beatrix with us. Our native relatives waved from their side of the border. We were wild, rough-legged buzzards marking our new migration trail. The stratus clouds wrapped us with visas and our dry bills and God on our journey. I met the wet disease rheumatic fever at 8. No health insurance, but she took me to the American hospital, praying there was enough sand to dry me. I was too abronia angustifolia to survive the migration to Los Angeles. Migration that kept our last breath reserved for emergencies. Migration that I only recall in cellular memory, but that Lechuguilla tell me about in dreams. A simple slice down my Mexican passport gives me permission to return. What more can we give up to return? Alhina is so far, but she instigates my inner workings to return to the me before rebirth. Did I fail to yield like Vega in a past life? And nation-state governments my punishment in this one. Mommy couldn't carry the dangling bones of me into the hospital, but she never stopped apologizing to all the soaked tree yucca she kicked to get here. Our chariot was not made of gold, only sage thrasher feathers and ocotillo flowers. I know that mommy can be Cerro Mojinora in its fruiting days, angry and full of lava, but as of late she is extinct. Her feet no longer capable of running. She is the fume of volcano with no exit. She is dormant to life. I once flew over the barrancas del Cobre as a Chihuahuan raven after we argued one dreadful evening after evening. I always made it to the other side of the land's hurt. By a river on the other side, a Tarahumara woman told me I was mixed with ash, because that's the only way to understand justice and purity. I don't remember my car seat, the petroleum stench across the roads, border patrol, a third plane. I remember growing up like Achilles. The world was always mine. Mommy gave me the space to call my wisps of hair across the desert. She gave me all the damn time. Thank you. That was my first piece. Thank you for having me. These times are rough, and so, I don't know, like there's just it's so trialing. Like we are literally stepping into the unknown, all of us, whether we want to or not. And, you know, this is a huge spiritual lesson for me as a very controlling Taurus. You know, Aries and Venus. I'm very controlling, and I'd like to know what comes next. And here we are, right? Confined to our homes, welcoming a new year. The moon is in Cancer. And it's all just so much and magical, but the resilience and the resistance is there to, you know, continue through these plagues of racism and COVID. And so, you know, I do my little part in making sure these poems always carry my peoples forward. Next poem is titled How We Tell Stories. The mountains rage. A curled child rocks himself to and from. Is my sky. The horizon, my brother, coils the land. His heels kick buzz the land. I give life to vibrant bones. Fleshless, wounded earth. To my right, a rearview mirror, a cluster of gray hair, spider webs flat with the desert wind. Past the passenger seat window, the pregnant boulder of a glistening mother. The rock holds her milking nipples. Milk won't come. The father cloud, a thunderstorm swirling towards the ant of us. How many times do we have to battle a dust whirlwind to make it back? I don't dare roll my window down for the fear the wind will sequester me, teach me how to fly. I promise it's not an exaggeration. How many hours till we make it? Our windshield chirps with the rain of sand. The sky is a bruise that wants to take me, but don't believe anything I tell you. It's the hot mirage hovering the black tar of the road. My furrowed, focused brow, the car's vents, sigh an unnatural cold whisper. My native land, a furious, songless abuela that lost her voice after years of belting the evening strip. A dirty umbilical cord tumbling across an endless blue. Our South Star pulls us home. I should help Ahmad drive, but she's already 3 sweaty cokes in her blood, a boiling ponche, gurgling stories, a forced, sticky joy. I should Google the names of the clouds riding alongside us. A daytime ghost, I'm sleepy. Mommy is no longer driving. She is a million doves. Jenny Rivera is an octave higher than her hurt. I don't interrupt her ascension, her conjuring. She is booming voice and wings, grips the wheel as though it was her bottle, swerves the poor roadkill. Don't trust me when I tell you there's a reason for the road trip. Translucent people walk the desert. We held our breath crossing over or through to Bienvenidos a México. Legally, Ahmad takes off a rough skin, the carcass of memory. Her first swerving crossing over or through to a dream she walked in until she awoke. Our silence dawned before us. There were no more songs to sing. Sad album after album of northern folk songs, a smell of damp desert wraps the wheels. A smell of gunpowder welcomes us to our ombligo. A tired dog, our car, barks our arrival. Abuelita, the sweetest atole, greets us from behind the porch's metal gate. She is a recurring waving gif, scared to be bit. She stays afar. Her mind hadn't moved since the last time we pulled up on her block. She forgets the way Amma stole me from her a life ago to love us. I left her too. I think I had a choice in a previous slide, but don't believe me. Abuelita and I can agree we're writing a new story. Inside the turquoise fossil of their home, Abuelito slurps on the bone of an animal. Under lamplight, furrowed brow greets us, a rehearsed smile from memories in Anahuac. Everyone is diagnosed with the same disease. When we meet for the first time in months, everyone glows from the medicine of time. Feed time. Dale tiempo al tiempo, I'm telling you, don't believe me. I don't believe your grandma either. That's what makes me love her. An old porch light, flames, the darkness of streets we hadn't been ready to walk. The high-peaked silhouettes, the ghosts of mountains still surround our story. They whisper about rain as tears, a storm that passes, topples mothers, turns them into rivers, pregnant and all. I set my American passport down. In this state, the largest in Mexico, I was hiccuped to life, interrupted. You know what I mean? Outside the window, a blue like drowned arms, legs, a foot here, a head there, the rose-colored tail of sunset. The father cloud returns, stomping the native ground before the state massacred our people. He slips behind the valley's shoulder. Appa stopped hunting us when we became the hunters. This is the beginning and the end. This is how we tell stories. We start with the land you were born in, trail the journey backwards, pace, fast and slow, follow the people made out of stone, hug the children that tumbled out of the desert land fissures, listen to the mothers that lose it, return into rivers, fathers that shatter, fall, and eternal fall into abyss, like rain reversing back into the night, or rest and remember. Oh, that's it for that piece. That one's like real intense in my heart. It takes me somewhere. I hope y'all followed me. I know it's a little verbose, but it's a beautiful piece on page. I'm gonna end my my turn by reading this last piece that was inspired by Janelle Pineda's In Another Life. Janelle Pineda's book, Lineage of Rain, is coming out through Haymarket. I think it already came out December 2020 or January 2021. Check out her work. She is a Salvadoran poet from Los Angeles, super amazing. Conception. The migration never happened, but somehow you and I still exist. Like desert rose, we know only the memory of crystalline petals and not the tumbling that created us. Forget the almost gunned down pregnant woman, the jealous wife, the caldo de res. There is no bus to the maquiladoras. There is no border. There is no drowning. There is only ocotillo and tortillas hechas a mano. The pink house and the backyard wall decorated with broken blue and yellow tile. A heaping plate of orejas and abuelitas canela café waiting to disappear into our bellies. In this life, our people are not things of the city, but whole worlds living amongst the mountains, plains, and deserts. Everywhere we are pronghorn antelope when we tire of our human bodies, playing freely, naked and fed. Tronadera does not mean gunshot, and tunas bloom in every place water gallons are left behind. My name will still mean faith, this time in a language that recognizes me, in a language I know how to speak. My grandmother is still a singer, although I am not a writer. In this life, I don't have to be. This poem somehow still exists. It is told in my mother's native songs, and she makes worry dissolve like lime in warm honey, throat refreshed and free of silence. You and I do not leave each other across the border, grasping angrily at each other's heart in search of stay. We meet in the grassy hills by Santa Isabel. My arms overflowing with lunch and Vicente Fernandez CDs, and together we graze the clouds passing before your 1966 Ford pickup's windshield. We watch sunset fall over a land we call our own and don't fear its stripping. I bite into your soft lips, softly sucking color from substance, nibbling the memory of today's conception. Our laughter echoes across the surface of the river, one where we don't fear our finding. We do not have to hide here. We do not have to hide anywhere. A gray fox skids somewhere across the river, and I do not fear my child's taking. Thank you so much for having me. It was a pleasure to read with all of y'all. I'm excited to hear everyone else. You can find my work on my website at fayhernandez.com or on Instagram at Faye, F-E-I, _Hernandez. Purchase my book. I hope you enjoyed my poems.
Thank you, Faye. That was beautiful. All right, our second reader of the evening is Michael Credico. He is the author of Heartland, Calamitous from Autumn House Press. His fiction has appeared in Black Warrior Review, Denver Quarterly, Diagram, Hobart, New Ohio Review, New Journal, Puerto del Sol, Quarterly West, and others. He lives in Cleveland, Ohio. Please welcome Michael.
Hi, everybody. Thank you so much for inviting me. I'm going to read 3 very short stories. This first one is called Western. No good Western begins with Indiana. Never mind how American it is, me, the El Dorado, and me having stolen the El Dorado from a one-stop in Fort Wayne. I am trying to escape the heartland. I want to be the type of man who would shoot another man for his wants, but I could never shoot another man. It's why I waited for an empty vehicle left running, why it was done under the cover of dark. We are on the road inside America when we hit a buck head-on in Cairo, Illinois. I'm beside its carcass, unable to leave it, though I'm on the lam. I mistake a Bronco for a police interceptor. The man in the Bronco offers me a knife. He says I have earned the buck's head. I saw through the bone with my eyes shut. Where do you go from here if this is as far as you can get? The man in the Bronco says, is it just you? No, there is a baby too. It is pressed against the cracked windshield of the El Dorado. I didn't check on it after the collision. I went to the buck and waited. I should have run. I thought about running when I first discovered the baby in the back seat while searching for things I could sell for gas. This was before Cairo, before Illinois. I told the baby coochie coo. I sold a sag's skull for half a tank. I started the car. I said, your paw must be some paw. My father was a drover, the baby said. I admitted I didn't know where we were going, but we sure were. The baby said, going is all we're after anyhow. The baby isn't moving, it's gone. Still, the man in the Bronco is trying to resuscitate it. We're all trying to figure out what's alive and what's not, and ourselves, I think. The man in the Bronco weeps, the baby hanging from a fist like a kill. I'm under the confluence of the rivers. I'm in the back seat of the El Dorado. The man in the Bronco is wearing expensive cowboy boots, looking at me like he needs a revelation. I say, what's the point of spurs in a landscape such as this? Oh God, is that all? He says. No, there is the road. This second one is called A Black Eye, a Drowned Eye. It begins with a sore throat, some trouble swallowing, and abscess. Then an enormous bloodshot eye growing out of the abscess and overtaking the rest of her. She is very peculiar. Her husband is furious that he can't understand what she is looking for. Though the pupil widens like a mouth, she can't scream. She rolls into the sea. At the bottom of the sea, she meets a fish. What are you looking at? The fish says. She is looking at the hook protruding from the fish's throat. This isn't what it feels like, the fish says. But it is. She is caught in a fish net. She is flailing on the deck of a fishing boat. She is set raw on a dinner plate looking up at the Cyclops. It says here you are very peculiar, the Cyclops says, holding this story in front of her. She begins at it begins. Everything is exactly how it happened except for the fish. Where is the fish? The Cyclops drinks a glass of water. At the bottom of the glass is an enormous eye, badly swollen and blue. A black eye, a drowned eye. She would like to knock on the glass at the eye. She is heartsick for her vanished hands. She wants out like a fish inside a fish tank, but with knocking and clawing. The Cyclops has her pinned to the plate with the fork. The knife is somewhere close. The hook is inside her still. She was always the fish. And my last story is also about fish. This is called The Man with a Fish in His Heart. I had run off all over. I hadn't escaped the Heartland. I had touched the bottom of the water with both hands and then my feet. That should have been it. But I came to in a drainage ditch at the bottom of a hill on the side of a country road. I had the bucolic sick again, the sneezing and the sunburn and the wild mushrooms you can smell through your lips. I felt siphoned. The pipe was dripping onto my stomach what had been inside my pockets when I jumped. You best be careful or else I'll do it, I heard spoke inside my head. I wanted it to be God. It was no God. It was a man with a gun pointed at my chest. I thought I was dead, I said. Looks like you're not from around here, he said. But I'm here, I said, aren't I? I watched a skein of birds pass overhead. I hooked my arms around the pipe and lifted myself up. Don't go too far, the man said. The hammer clicked. I looked down the road. There was no sign of anything. Does this go east to west? I asked. It goes as far as you're concerned, the man said. He raised the gun to my head. Then he collapsed. I saw the shape of his heart beating through his chest. He was on his knees now. He pounded his chest with both fists until the heart's beating couldn't be seen anymore. He took up the gun again. Don't look at me that way, he said. It's just my fish. I think your fish wants out, I said. The man fired into the sky. You don't say something like that in a place you don't belong, he said. I put my hands up. I didn't mean it, I lied. Be still, he said. Me or the fish. I turned toward the road. I was 100 yards gone after 2 rounds. The third round went over my head and turned that skein of birds into a loss of direction. One of their bodies dropped in front of me. I jumped over it. I kept going. I was running as I had always been running. I was what I was born for, like a fish in the water. The length of the road and the way it rivered through the heartland made me think this time it would be different. This time I would find the end. But it wasn't true, because every time I think I have reached it, it isn't. I am only ever reaching. Thank you all so much. Thank you.
Thanks, Michael. Okay, our final reader tonight is Emma Ruth Wilson. She is a poet from Central Illinois, and her work has appeared in Berkeley Poetry Review, Echoverse, and others. Please welcome Emma Ruth Wilson.
Hi. Okay. Lemon work. Outside sickness descends on the streets like a dozen tigers shot dead. Watch them loping down to the earth, softening spring-like with blood. I am both a projection of ego and ego, struggling underneath in the shade. The half-full flights, staccato-spaced grocery lines, a sense of place succulent and empty. Help the poets, they're hurting the poets. Help the poets, soft skills are dying. Above the garage, my lover and I rinse off. The whole year howls down the drain. The pastoral is a farce, and there are no benevolent billionaires. Thank you so much for having me. This is my actual house. This is my roommate, this Lamb. And yeah, I'm really honored to be part of this reading, and it was wonderful hearing Faye and Michael read. So thank you again. My next poem is called Big Beautiful Banks. Congratulations, congratulations, congratulations. A rose as big as a parade balloon is blooming prismatic inside the tallest skyscraper in the financial district. She, the rose, picked the best building, don't you think? Each side an armor of clear windows gleaming, painful really in the sun to look upon. Someone, multiple someones, must clean each pane twice a day, so glowing the windows are they shimmer. And inside the rose, red like guts, unfurling pristine, it feels too bright to watch, each thorn as big as a woman. The stem greener than a ridge bank after a hard rain. Don't you want to lick it? Would it taste like chlorophyll, soap, and asparagus? This rose is causing a serious fuss. All the lawyers and brokers pointing and swearing that the whole building will come shattering down. Me, I believe in organic truth, a rose as big as a god, holy mortgage, holy loan. I'm tired of taking pills to get out of bed. One day I'll wake with death on the agenda and be startled by that too. My next poem is called Black Hair. On a loop, green sleeves, watch me glitch and pull the sword between my shoulders and over my head. I sing a vowel that trembles at my crown. Fanfare, terror, the fullness of time like many veiled villagers singing. The bones black on the altar, my sleeves get in the way. The castle roof gives way to sky, then a disk of snow. The disk and her descendants litter past paintings the gods themselves made. The snow flatters me on my throne. What is art to a cold god? Like applying sealant over a dead leaf, so the snow becomes my death drive gladly. Arrival. This is my next poem, Arrival. I'm gonna check how much time I've taken up, by the way. That's why I keep clicking around, because I'm paranoid. Arrival. Give yourself to lushness completely, as I have done, letting its tentacles wrap around my ankles and pull me down to a saturated place of leaves, this saturation and leaving. Church marquees with marginal revelation language, a few key letters missing. The trysts I can't control with dead men who take me while holding my jaw in one hand so I cannot look away. So give myself to delusion, zoomed all the way in. I am made of trickster particles. If a map existed of this tender place, would my arrival be drained of its color? My biographies replace themselves on the quantum plane. I remain unreliable. The next poem. So I'm in Iowa right now, and there's a snowstorm. Well, there was yesterday. So this poem is called Snow Poem. I didn't write it just yesterday, but whatever. Okay, snow poem. What color is that behind my eyelids? Can a color belong to an afternoon temporarily, like a tough toy the baby gums only until its teeth come in? The snow falls deep and beautiful. My lover in the snow ahead, a pace or two, deep and beautiful. I look ahead of me, beyond units like years. I see nothing in the spread that sparkles, nothing but a mute blue. My lover in the snow with the dog, and a woman different than me, more deserving, more alive, with a face more constant, cooing as the moon. A walk in the snow, so soft it feels dirty to set it on fire. Okay. I'm gonna read one last poem, and of course it's not an Emma poem or an Emma reading unless I fumble around for a little bit. So I'm gonna read a last poem called Morning Stroll with Citations. The girl starts each day with a walk through the manicured garden. It is manicured because it is controlled. The girl follows the same path every morning through the manicured garden. The garden grows in a prescribed way. The water lilies are hemmed in by metal netting. In this manner, their splay is contained. The girl wonders if the metal netting keeps the lilies from camp or if the netting is camp itself. The girl in the garden is not necessarily me. By using third person, hopefully you can see whoever you want to in this leafy scene. Sometimes I am speaking directly from personal experience. Sometimes I am projecting different ideas I have heard onto a perspective that isn't mine. A persona I think is funny is that of an old-timey aristocrat. She wanders the garden for a variety of reasons, like it is nice to take time for oneself before the rituals of embroidery and reclining. You can also glue yourself onto this experience. As you walk through the garden, you think about how, for a smart person, you have behaved in several unsmart ways. Maybe you ruminate on the definition of different words to keep your mind sharp. Or the question, is it still rape if you come? Now this has become a rape poem. If you have not been raped, you no longer see yourself as the girl in the garden. Suddenly, the poem feels less genuine. The text starts to shut its petaled mouth. Yeah, a rape is a rape is a rape. This is a failing on the part of the poet to write the text into a corner. The poet puts the text in a timeout. Readers may begin to feel shut out of the poem. Readers may begin to wonder if the garden was just a conceit. Readers may suspect the girl in the garden were theoretical all along. Readers may begin to feel duped. Reader, the girl is real. An intellectual exercise can have a fleshy component. A tornado has hit the girl's hometown. Now the girl is clearly me. The text has closed completely. The text went on a date with an aspirin clutched between her knees. The girl is skirting around naming names. To call out is a fleeting upper hand. She did come, by the way. In this manner, the girl is called into question. The garden is well maintained, we can say that. Its bright colors are carefully corseted. To restrain something makes the release feel more rewarding. The girl considers this the appeal of football. She keeps the word relic on her tongue. It is almost too sweet to bear. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Okay, we have plenty of time for questions. If we have any questions from our audience, for our readers, or readers, if you'd like to ask each other any questions about the work, please feel free to unmute yourself and ask questions right now. We have plenty of time. So. Okay, we have a question about how people are managing to write or not write in this crazy year. Anybody want to comment on how that's been going?
I guess I could say something. As with any time that I'm struggling with anything, I find that just keeping a very strict schedule helps keep me moving. So I've been able to write mostly just by making sure I dedicate a set amount of time at the same time every day.
For me, it's been very arbitrary and it fully depends on my emotional well-being. I've been writing a lot of new pieces because I am envisioning manuscript number 2. But the way I'm getting through it is doing other projects at the same time to stay stimulated. So visual work, so I'm gonna say it now. I'm working on illustrating my first book, Hood Criatura, and creating a illustration novel that can be paired with the full-length poetry collection. And so I'm really excited about that. So I'm engaging with old work, right? Finding ways to bring it to life in a different medium, and then you know, being inspired by that or by other revelations of, you know, life during these times, and writing new pieces. But it's just very arbitrary for me. Like I can't put myself in a very tight schedule because I feel like I just kind of blunt my creativity or that spark. But yeah, I've been watching a lot of anime, and that helps prompt some things to write about. Yeah.
Yeah, I also too, I don't have a schedule, although I'm trying to figure out if my creativity ebbs and flows in like along with my menstrual cycle. So I've been noting, I mean, because I definitely think, like, you know, it was a full moon in Cancer. I think that those things all have to do, you know, I think we interact with the world around us, right? And I definitely like have periods of gathering and periods of writing a lot and then periods of rest. So yeah, it's kind of arbitrary, but I too just like I watch anime, I watch like movies, and I do a lot of cooking. I feel like cooking and walks and collage, like I always leave those experiences feeling like I have a line I'm chewing in my head.
Any other questions for our readers? All right, well, let's wrap up then. And of course we want to, oh, wait, no, we've got a question here about revision. Would you each talk some about revision and your readers? And how is reading over Zoom different?
So as far as revision, for me personally, I try to get a draft out as quickly as possible and then not look at it for as long as possible after that. And almost always my form of revision is always subtracting, which is why, at least in this book, the short stories end up becoming very, very small. And with the novel I'm working on now, everything just keeps compressing over time. So it's kind of a pain in the butt, actually. But that's how I look at revision. Just giving it time after that quick first draft, which I think is really important, and then subtracting thereafter.
For me, revision is like a dance, a new dance you're learning. And so you learn the steps, right? You get it out of your system, and then you're like, oh, this is kind of fun. For me, it has to be exciting. So I feel like randomly a line will pop up into my head, right? So there's this new poem I wrote called She's Sailor Moon Except She Thick. And that line was so random, but then I just like danced with it. I let, you know, the full Sailor Moon transformation that happened before my eyes, and it was me. And I unfurled that piece right before my eyes. I'm very immediate, and I'm just such a flame when it comes to like inspiration, and I just like keep dancing. And so what I do is I let the dance finish, and then I go back and I say, hey, I want to perfect this dance because I want to look bomb. I want it to sound good with cadence and lyric. And so then I go back and I rehearse, right? What steps can be simplified? What steps could be more advanced? And what kind of form, specifically with poetry, will be helpful in allowing this piece to be what it needs to be. So it's very like exciting for me. It's very fun. I think that's where my magic happens. Because it happens very immediately as I'm ensued with inspiration. But yeah, that's me.
Yeah, I think my revision is also, a lot of it is time, just like writing something and then trying to forget about it, because I do that thing where I think a lot of poets do, where you write something and you're like, right after you write it, you're like, well, I've done it. This is the best thing I've ever written. And then the next day you're like, what the fuck? So I try to like give myself a lot of time. And then after time, I feel like the more time I give, the more the editing kind of does itself, because I go back and I'm like, I can kind of clearly see the weak parts. And yeah, I do feel like a lot of revision is subtracting, but also with poetry, that's when the form gets decided for me too. Yeah.
And how about reading over Zoom? How is that? How do you all find that different from a normal reading situation?
Oh my God, I'll start because I miss the stage so much. Like, I am a writer, but for my people. Like, I am on a stage constantly at open mics, running my open mics. Like, I miss, you know, being in the flesh, dressing up, feeling beautiful just to like share some work. But I feel like we acclimate. We as humans gotta acclimate. And I feel like it's been a new discovery for myself. It's more laid back. I don't feel the stress or the nervousness that I did before. Like, all right, I'm gonna spit this poem from memory. I gotta get it right. It's more casual now because I've learned to be okay with reading things. Believe it or not, I've memorized most of the like my most known pieces are all memorized, and I perform them like at spoken word events or open mics. And so now I've felt a shift in my writing. I felt a shift in my readership. I felt a shift in how I deliver things because I can read it. Why not? What's the problem with that?
Cool.
I generally prefer the stage as well. Like, I'm never gonna be in a band again, so like that's my only opportunity to perform in front of people, right? As I get older, but as I get used to Zoom and having to see my face constantly, it's actually really nice to be able to reach like so many people quickly, and it just seems like it's more accessible. It's really nice.
I feel like this question assumes that like I do many readings and I don't. So, but I mean, I like Zoom readings because after this is done, I'm gonna like immediately just eat soup and put on comfy clothes and it'll be done, you know, which I like because I don't know, that'll just be like a little downshift. But I do miss the readings just for getting to see my friends, but then I'm like, is that the readings that I miss, or is that my friends? You know, but it is cool. I feel like I've been able to see a lot of people read that, like, geographically I would not be able to see, you know, and I've been able to see them over Zoom, which has been, you know, really wonderful. So I do like watching readings on Zoom.
Cool, thank you all. All right, let's see, check the chat for any more questions. I think we'll go ahead and wrap up. And we want to thank you all for being here and supporting the arts during these strange times we're in. Thank you especially to our readers for sharing their wonderful work with us tonight. And please don't forget to give some love to our December community partner, Sleeves for Needs. The donation link is right there in the chat. And please make plans to be here on Wednesday, January 13th for a writer's workshop on confessional poetry, which will be led by Ashley Elizabeth. And we'd like to invite you all also to join us back here on Zoom on Wednesday, January 27th for the next installment of our reading series. Our featured readers will be Sarah Henning, Chloe Martinez, and Joanna Elefthero. To find out more about these events and RSVP to them, you can visit our Facebook page, Sundress Academy for the Arts. Until next time, take care and Happy New Year.
Happy New Year. Thank you so much.